by Madam Mokhtari. Madam Mokhtari is a special aide of His Excellency, former President of the Republic of Ghana, John Mahama. Madam Joyce Mokhtari, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you all?
We're doing well. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
And how is the campaign going? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I was asking how the campaign was going.
Oh, let me just say that by God's grace, everything is going very, very well so far. Yes, very, very well. Very, very well. We thank God for journey mercy. We thank God for His guidance and for His wisdom. And by the grace of the Almighty, it is apparent and obvious to all of us that our message to reset Ghana is actually working seriously for us each and every place that we visit. Look, people are very conscious of the issues at hand. People are very conscious of the fact that there's a need for change. People certainly want a change in the nature of the leadership that we have. And above all, this is certainly about hardship. And so it is, of course, about the economy, nothing more, nothing less. And so for us, we have our job cut out for us. And let me put it very, very succinctly. John Mahama is a man who understands Ghana, a respecter of our constitution and our democracy, a respecter of the good people of Ghana, a man who understands that the change that he is definitely going to be leading will come with enormous responsibility. And he will be challenged even beyond his own expectations. I believe that he is a man who understands the moment. He is standing on the cusp of a historic win and knows that Ghanaians have very, very high expectations of his future leadership.
Well, your opponents argue, your main opponents, of course, the NPP argue that John Mahama has had the opportunity before, and when he was president, it wasn't like the economy was glowing and we're picking gold from trees and all of that. What Ghanaians want to hear are the specifics. So that, for example, if President Mahama is elected come December the 7th, what is he going to do about inflation? What is he going to do about the cost of food? What is he going to do about the cost of healthcare? Can you give us specifics?
First and foremost, let me put it very, very beautifully, that John Mahama is a man with enormous experience, and Ghanaians do know that. And if you're talking about resetting Ghana, I think the first button you and I will be pressing will be first and foremost to vote for John Mahama, to have him elected as president. Secondly, is for John Mahama to tell you that the first thing we have to do is to what? Have a very small and effective government. One of the biggest drains in our economy as a people is the drain on the public purse. Of course, they told us that they were going to come and protect the public purse. But you and I know that they had no such intentions. And if there's any political grouping that has been more inconsistent in our political discourse, it is the New Patriotic Party led by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. You see, they lie very boldly. They tell barefaced lies. They promise things that they know that they will never deliver. There is something I love about one of the accolades that John Mahama carries. Ostia or yo. So whatever John Mahama promises to do, he will deliver. You know, look, I tried to Google John Mahama, and I found out that he is actually credited with the man who tried to close Ghana's infrastructure deficit. What was this infrastructure deficit closure going to deliver for the good people of Ghana? It was going to deliver better opportunities for all, not just a few. If you look at the Afrobarometer report today, it tells you one thing, that John Mahama worked assiduously to fight corruption, to stem graft. And one of the reasons why we celebrate John Mahama's leadership today is that he ran a government that was equal, a government that was gender sensitive, a government that appeals to the generality of the people of Ghana. So I have no doubt that the social democrat that he is, his social contract with the good people of Ghana, and he has said it himself, that in the first 120 days, he will be prioritizing what? Reducing the size of our ballooning debt. Ghana's debt today is 740 billion and counting. Make no mistake, this is why everybody else is poor. Visit urban Ghana, visit rural Ghana, visit our urban rural communities. Yesterday, when Kejebil, for example, in the Nkwanta South constituency, believe you me, they only have one senior high school. It is called Dissect. And that should tell you that in 8 years, the New Patriotic Party has done nothing for most of Ghana. You see, we forget that urban Ghana is not only Ghana. In fact, those who depend on government the most are those in the wider generality of our further constituencies, our further regions, and above all, our more rural communities. I was in Dambai, and just when I went on the ferry, I stopped to buy some roasted plantain. And the lady looked at me and said, "Oh, madam, all my fish is false." I'm asking her why. She said there's something called low voltage. And I said to her, "What is low voltage?" She said, "Oh, it doesn't even power the boat." I thought it was a joke. And you can ask your reporter who is traveling with us. When they went to the hotel that we had secured for them in Ketekrachi, they couldn't even charge their cameras and their equipment, largely because of low voltage. Remember that when the NDC was in office, building new substations across the country was a matter of urgency, because one thing the NDC knows is that you must develop our rural communities, give them light, give them water, give them reliable power supply, and make sure that the basic amenities such as school infrastructure, hospital and health infrastructure, water infrastructure, electricity are things that actually influence the economies of rural communities. In any case, when you are in Accra and you are told that the dollar to the cedi is now 17 cedis to a dollar, ask yourself, the people in rural communities, how are they coping? They are worse off. Look at the hardships that we experience even here in greater cities in Ghana, and go to the rural communities and you realize that it's a lot worse in the rural community. So make no mistake, my brother, this election is about bread and butter, more so now than it was even in 2016 when the dollar was 4 cedis to the dollar. So tell me, how do you think rural Ghana has fared? When I go to Ketekrachi, I asked the gentleman, with me, I have traveled the length and breadth of Ghana. That is one gift that working with John Mahama has actually given me. It actually opens my eyes to what the realities are. More than ever, I now appreciate why John Mahama took his infrastructure drive to the whole new level. We were in Kasa yesterday. The Kasa chief, who in 2016 had given his support to the New Patriotic Party, told us very clearly that the road was still undone and untouched at a time when we are being told that they have constructed 12,000 kilometers of roads. Where are those roads that they boast of? In any case, tell me, when you wake up in the morning and they tell you in 2016 that we are not going to eat roads, are we eating roads in 2024? Look, the issues are pretty much very well cut out. It is always about the economy. With a thriving economy, with an equality-based economy, with an improved economy, with a reset economy, everybody in Ghana will at least be able to afford 3 square meters.
In line with that,
times are hard. The country is difficult. Most parts of Ghana are simply in more trouble. And I know because I've lived it. Talk to your reporters who go with us and they will tell you that it has not been an easy journey at all. Imagine having your freezer on in a small business community, in a little rural community in Dambai. And then you wake up in the morning and find that every food item that you have spent on has gone bad because of something called low voltage. And you only hear this in rural communities. My brothers and sisters, times are very, very hard. I know John Mahama. I know him very well. He is a modest man. He is a reasonable man. He is a very responsible man. And let me tell you, the number of fees we pay, the number of medical bills we pay, the number of interventions that John Mahama continues to make in the lives of the many people who come across us should tell you this is a man who cares about Ghana. Since he lost office, he has not left this country. He continues to stay here. And look, until the OSC came out and cleared him on that very widely publicized innocuous corruption investigation. Look at how our opponents exploited all these things. And yet not one level of scrutiny, not one. And let me tell you, when they leave office, you will see the length and the size of the snake, the level of state capture, the level of corruption, the stealing that has gone on. Most of these allegations will be investigated and we will recover all the looted items that are with them. Look, even when it comes to basic amenities, how many communities have received all the pledges that were made? Yesterday, in the midst of a campaign in Nkwanta North, we were told that they came and built a 2-room built structure, claiming that it was a Gary processing factory. I don't want to be a doom-monger. Go there and ask whether or not that Gary 2-room place has actually been put into use. So in terms of 1G, 1F, none of the rural communities I know have a working factory. A few days ago, I had a very interesting conversation with a young gentleman. And what was he telling us? He had gone all the way to the district of Accra in Adam. The very first greenhouse was actually commissioned into work by John Dramani Mahama. This is a man who understands the pulse of our country. He will work to build the economy, cut public debt, and stop the reckless borrowing. He will also stop investing in sweetheart deals. So we know very well that there is enormous risk at stake. John Mahama is a man who needs very little.
You have highlighted.
Will not use your money to carry himself in private jets. John Mahama's children are all like their father, modest and very, very measured. They are young and industrious young men and women. John Mahama's wife is a philanthropist for excellence. We all know her. And since they left office, for all the lies our opponents told, for all the propaganda, my brother, tell me, are we not certainly worse off now than we were in 2016 and prior to that?
Well, the figures say so.
They told you about our Mary and that we had stolen all the things from our Mary. Today, they celebrate relocating our Mary and go and ask the cost of that relocation to the poor Ghanaian taxpayer. So the only people who have benefited is a small nepotistic government led by President Akufo-Addo and Mahmoud Bawumia.
Okay.
The rest of us are wallowing in abject poverty and unemployment.
Madam,
this economy is about hardship. It's about a leader who cares and a man who will tolerate us enough and respect us enough and not try to force his successor on us through the back door to get a third term so he can hide his graft and corruption. I know that Ghanaians are ready for change. You can see the change in the air. I'm currently walking on the streets of Accra Mall. It's a place I rarely visit, and I'm walking right on the main road. You should see the reaction of all the people we meet. These are ordinary Ghanaian citizens. And so I know that this is our voice and this is our future. So this week, my conversations are all about our voices and about our future. I call on our young brothers and sisters, make me your ambassador. Make me your point of contact. Make me the person to call out when things don't go your way. But believe one thing, John Mahama is a man who intends to reset Ghana so that we can finally take off as we intended. This is the Ghana that Kwame Nkrumah bequeathed to his citizens.
In line with resetting the economy, your party has told us that you intend to implement the 24-hour economy. That's going to come with a lot of funding. Where are you going to get the money from?
The same sources where they have stolen from, immeasurably, uncontrollably. There is enormous resources in Ghana if we manage what little we have and manage it effectively. Countries have done well without gold, without diamonds, without oil and without gas. John Mahama has promised to revisit the oil and gas sector, to reinvent it in a way that will allow all the investors who have left to return. Don't forget that ENI and others were committing enormous resources to the oil and gas sector. Mahama has promised that all these investors will return to Ghana and invest directly in our country. So remember, vote for a man who knows what to do. As we say in local parlance, vote for a man who knows road. Man where you know they lie give you. Man where you know they talk, they deceive you. Man where you know they use in fine face, they come tell you story where the next they know they do. So my brother, I have seen Ghana like I've never seen before. And I know what Ghana was like in 2016. I know what's like today. Go out there and ask all the parents who are shopping for food for their children. Even those with age 6 and 7 and all of those things. How are they coping? Look, make no mistake. John Mahama is a man who loves Ghana. And you know, I tell people all the time, smart and sharp as I am, I have every reason to believe that John Mahama is a man who will deliver on his promises.
Your opponents argue, and they've argued consistently over the years that in as much as these challenges are there for everyone to see, there are external forces that have also contributed very strongly to the challenges that we're facing right now. That's why they need an opportunity to continue. What would you say to that?
Let me tell you one thing. Long before that external challenge, we gave them a great opportunity. Long before that external challenge, we gave them enormous room and we gave them leverage. We trusted them enough to vote for them overwhelmingly in 2016. They squandered all the goodwill by 2020. And let me tell you, they've never even actually had a majority in parliament. There can be no majority of 2 or 3. when the English dictionary introduced the word majority into our lexicon, they knew that majority should be palpably more numbers than what we are fighting over. So make no mistake, President Akufo-Addo and Baumia lost credibility long before now. By 2020, when the Sputnik V thing happened, when the monies were received for fighting COVID and squandered like donuts, everybody knew then that they didn't come to serve Ghana, they came to serve self. When they told you that they were going to improve the Public Procurement Act and stop single-source procurement, how did they fare? When they told you they were going to come and fight corruption with their lifeline, how did they fare? When they told you they were going to put their life on the line for Galamsey, how did they fare? $1 million per constituency, where is it? They knew where the money was and that they intend. Look, when John Mahama commissioned into work the Tema Port Project, the NPS terminal, remember the things they said. Go today and see the number of NPP aficionados who have been granted licenses and permits to run affairs in the port of Tema and the port of Takrady. Take your cameras there and see what goes on in these facilities that were bequeathed to the good people of Ghana by John Dramani Mahama. None of John Mahama's family or children work in any of those facilities, but the facilities are there to serve the good people of Ghana. As an individual, as a professional, I believe that we need to look at the whole tax regime all over again so that GRA will stop hounding people. In fact, yesterday I received a letter, so I'm probably reporting myself. And that business makes no money. And yet I get these letters all the time. I have to go to court. I have to go where I have to go where. Let me tell you, John Mahama has promised one thing, that in his reset agenda, he will also ensure a complete overhaul of our tax system. And I think that is something that I, as a small entrepreneur, I agree with and I believe in. I believe also that the pollution of our water bodies is a matter that is on my heart. We need to start treating the common gifts that God has given us. Look at climate change issues. Look at the factors that affect our communities the most. People must need to drink good water to survive. It's a basic human right. And if we don't pay close attention to the attacks on our water bodies, on our forest cover, we will have a long life to pay for all these dangerous acts and activities. Look, I am confident that John Mahama is the man to deliver on this promise. He will reset Ghana. He will put us on a path of prosperity, a path of equality, a path where every Ghanaian feels a part of our development, so that at least this nepotistic government can be sent home to go and reconsider and rethink the huge crimes that they committed against the
Madam, you mentioned two key things in the last few minutes. You've spoken about taxation, you've spoken about Galamsey. The issue with taxation, this government argues that it's almost impossible to raise enough revenue to run the affairs of the state. So even though they promised that they were going to be moving the economy from taxation to production, they have to introduce some taxes. Are you saying that you're going to be doing away with these taxes?
Let me tell you, there are a lot of nuisance taxes that this government
Like what? Like which one?
The question of a new first one is the COVID-19 tax. Why should you and I buy papaya and continue to pay for COVID-19 when they received so many tax rebates, huge funds from the World Bank, from the IMF, from the Africa Development Bank? They caused the central bank to print humongous tax.
They argue that they use it for budgetary support.
My brother, budgetary support, where is the budgetary support? And what's the budget do? You heard the Palugu dam issue from the same budget. $12 million stolen and nothing to show for Palugu. And when I had a debate on one of your sister platforms, a gentleman from VRA told me that $12 million was expended on what? Topological reports. Really? When you ask them about PDS and why we lost that final part of the compact, one that John Mahama and Mills had worked very hard to receive and utilize to improve on the power sector. Do you know how many jobs that PDS project would have created? We lost $160 million because of a family feud. Did we elect an individual or we went to elect a family to come and run roughshod over us? Please vote out. I was a member of John Mahama's extended family, not even his direct or immediate family. And I tell you, most of you didn't even know me when I was in government as a deputy minister. Few of you had ever heard of me until 2016 when I headlined the campaign as spokesperson. And that is fact. You understand? All these years later, what reason will you have to fault me as a member of the NDC, as a working member, or as an aide to John Dramani Mahama. I've walked the straight and narrow because the boss would ensure that I do so.
Well, that's interesting, but I also want you to touch on two key things for me: the issue of Galamsey and then the issue of unemployment as well. The issue of Galamsey, your opponents again argue that this is not something that has started only under their watch. In fact, we lost our Madam Hawa there. Hopefully, we'll be able to get her back on the phone lines again. I wanted to ask her about all of these issues concerning Galamsey that has come up, the number of licenses that was given out under the administration, and the fact that there are also videos going out there that they are claiming that when they make their way back into office, they are going to allow a certain level of mining. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through to Madam How again. Madam, can you hear us? We lost her again. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through her again. We wanted to talk about that and also look at the issues concerning unemployment as well, which is also turning out to be a very big issue. But we know that going into the election, the economy is going to be a massive one. We started a conversation on issues concerning the economy. As we can see in the United States of America, even with such an economy, a lot of the locals say they voted or they gave Mr. Trump the nod because when he was in office, their personal economies were great. Do we have Madam Hawa back on the line? Hello,
yes,
Madam.
Madam, yes, yes, sir.
Yes, I was going to ask you the two quick issues, the issues to do with Galamsey and then the issues to do with unemployment. Your opponents argue that in as much as they've given out a lot of licenses under the administration, it's not like Galamsey started with them. In fact, they quote that in 2012, a lot of licenses were also given out by the Mahama administration as well. You are promising to do something very different. How different would it be from what we're experiencing today?
First and foremost, it starts with commitment. Secondly, it starts with leadership. Thirdly, it shows with credibility and sincerity. Under President Akufo-Addo, we know from Sir John's will, for example, and that is evidence in the public or in the court of public opinion, that he actually willed away a mining concession that is right in the center of a forest protective cover. And you and I know that. Secondly, we also know that over 1,000 licenses were issued between 2016 and now. We remember the Professor Frimpong Boateng report, and it tells you one thing. Government of the new patriotic party, President Akufo-Addo and his aficionados, including Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, are complicit in all the activities of illegal mining that we speak of. I said these people are the most inconsistent administration ever. This group of NPP people led by Akufo-Addo is one of the most discredited you ever have under the Fourth Republic. John Mahama has made a very straightforward commitment that he will ensure that there are no mining licenses granted to work in or around water bodies, one. Secondly, not to work in forest areas or designated protective areas. Thirdly, not near farms or farmlands. Fourthly, not near roads or road infrastructure. My brother, this is a commitment that you and I can start. And I have told you, the next few years will be very, very interesting. You in the media have a great role to play. You see, now that you are checkmating Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, they've lost touch. What happened a few days ago when Dr. Bawumia met young people at Bukom? Did you see traffic lights stopping? Did you see long queues at the traffic lights listening to him? Did you watch his body language when he had the media engagement? They have completely lost the moral compass to leaders. Let us vote them out and vote for a leader who cares for Ghana, who appreciates what is up and what the exigency of the day is. I'm on the street still, and you can hear the solidarity from the many people who are on the street and driving to work, ordinary Ghanaian citizens. I remember something that was characteristic of John Mahama's time in office. The Metro Mass buses were all around the streets. Where are they today? So imagine the citizen of Ghana who has no private car and has to make it a point to go around day in, day out looking for public transportation. Let's focus on the things that make us good citizens of Ghana. John Mahama has promised that in his social contract is also a conversation about a change in attitude. A change in attitude. I arrived in Accra at 3 a.m. By 5:30, my alarm was up. I am currently on your station, and this is the second interview I'm granting today. It is a mark of discipline. discipline and commitment.
In line with those social contracts, we want opportunities, we want jobs. There are many who are leaving school and are finding it very difficult to get a job. And even those who have jobs are complaining that wages and salaries are not enough to carry them over the line. What would the NDC do differently?
First and foremost, the NDC has recommitted to complete all the infrastructure that has been left abandoned, wasting taxpayers' money. If we put all these structures into good use, make no mistake, jobs will be created. Secondly, if we indeed are going to construct 12,000 kilometers of road, you will need Ghanaians to work on these construction sites, and this will also take others off the road. If you implement fully, for the first time, a government-sponsored 24-hour economy. Yesterday, I listened to a pastor. He said that as citizens, we sleep too much. You in the media, some of you get to work as early as 4 a.m. and you are there till 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. So imagine that every citizen of Ghana commits to work and be more productive than they've ever been. That productivity will affect very positively the unemployment we have. The man who took the employment rate given to us by the Ghana Statistical Service from 8.2% to 14.7%, and this is from the government's own statistician, today tells you he has created 2.6 million jobs. So where are the 14.7% coming from? Please don't believe their lies, and this time nobody will be hoodwinked. John Mahama has promised a $10 billion big push agenda. That big push agenda will power not just the big push agenda of industrialization, it will also push largely the 24-hour economy, establish more security services. And remember, in most of our rural communities, we have young, able-bodied men and women who, but for the disqualification by this government, will be serving happily in these security services that we have in Ghana. Make no mistake, John Mahama has his fault on this country. I have known that. Like I said, make me your point of contact and demand accountability and transparency from me. And you can know some of the things I'm saying, that if we want to reset Agenda Ghana, we must cut the draconian taxes, especially the E-levy, the COVID levy, the 10% tax on debt winnings, and the emissions levy. We must also reset the unjust VAT system, which is literally burdening our population and all the businesses. Buy a portion of papaya and look at your receipt. And I will actually challenge you to present that receipt to us tomorrow morning. Thirdly, we want to launch a very special pension scheme for the informal sector. It will also be accompanied by insurance for persons in the informal scheme. And these are all ways that you can also create jobs for people. We will also want to roll out that 10 billion big push agenda for strategic infrastructure development. Look, there are angel funds. There are many fund opportunities out there. We need sharp, smart, innovative leaders. And the rest, as they say, is history. I met a gentleman from Habitat for Humanity at one of my conferences, and he asked me, Joyce, Ghana has many rural communities. Can you imagine if your government were to reach out and invite us to come and support your affordable housing initiative? These are the sorts of innovations that John Mahama is looking forward to. Look around you. Look at the number of young people who are currently working as volunteers, empowering to victory this NDC campaign for 2024. It should tell you something. In 2016, all these young people were actually supporting largely the New Patriotic Party. How come they've lost all of that if indeed they have created 2.6 million jobs? Please ignore their lies. Tell the good people of Ghana I have a great message for them. There is a gentleman who is a 24-hour economy man. This is a man who wants to commit to resetting our agenda. Under John Mahama, the governor of the Bank of Ghana will not tell you and I that all he has to do is go and spread dollars into the system, and he can bring the cedi and the dollar down to 10 to 1. How does that make sense? Then, of course, make me governor, if that's all it takes to run Ghana's central bank. They have expended $250 million on a headquarters. Genuinely, at a time when the Bank of Ghana is making losses, we must also seriously discredit all these partisans parading as technocrats. They are actually one of the reasons why Akufo-Addo has failed, because he relied too heavily on technocrats who are partisan and did not attack their jobs on the position of objectivity and took it as a political gimmick that they were all playing. So make no mistake, Mr. Mahama has told his future appointees that they ought to know that he is not going to run an administration that allows them to misbehave, and that if you do not commit to the opportunities, you will go home and sit at home. And I agree with him.
Madam, we can't have a conversation with you without touching base with education. It's turning out to be a major conversation ahead of the elections, with a free SHS program pretty much in focus now. The NPP argue that within that period, up to 5 million kids have benefited. They've added a lot of infrastructure. You say that you were going to be doing something progressively. Are you still going to be running that tangent, or it's going to be something completely different?
My brother, tell the good people of Ghana to discount that argument. The NPP is a very disingenuous political party, very aggressively seeking a third term so they can control to steal and hide what they've stolen. All these things are put out and created artificially by the New Patriotic Party. Let me tell you one thing. The same report also told us about the challenges, and the Education Minister, Honorable Educhim, has told you and I that there is a need to reform and improve the educational system, right from SQ, which was the free universal basic education level, to the level of senior high school, and I don't refer to it by any prefixes. Ghana has always had a growing literacy rate. Check the records. Please don't allow them to deceive you. Don't allow them to misguide us. Don't allow them to mislead us. This conversation is not about anything to do with senior high school education or with basic education or with tertiary education or with senior education. Everything about this conversation is about the economy. Full stop.
You want to discard the role or the importance of education?
Mahama has told you that there can be no need to any day, today or tomorrow, to cancel senior high school, and you know that, and I know it. I don't think that we need to belabor the point. But please don't join this narrative. It is a campaign gimmick for a failing political party, a political party that knows that they have lost. But because they have made Ghanaians so much poorer, 58% of our citizens are now more dimensionally poor than they were 8 years ago. Check. The statistics speak for themselves. It is not Joyce saying it or John Mahama saying it. They are trying to hoodwink you once more to think that just because they are absorbing this small fee, they should allow them to continue to run roughshod over us. Discount that argument, discount the narrative. The focus of this election is not about senior high school. It's about the whole value chain of our educational process. And that is what we are focusing on.
Maybe when Ghanaians decide to give you the nod, like we see it appearing to happen in the United States, it would give Dr. Mahama the opportunity. Is that in any way playing into your mind this morning? Donald Trump making a comeback, John Mahama may also make a comeback. Is that playing on your mind this morning?
I have a very beautiful response I give each time I'm confronted with a question like this. Go back to 2016 on corruption, on the economy, on infrastructure, on all the key social indicators and amenities that we talk about. On which of them has the New Patriotic Party done better than John Mahama or the Milk administration? Name one. Indeed, we set an example, and all they are doing is following. But the truth about them is that they use propaganda and lies. Even the special prosecutor that they touted told us that Akufo-Addo is the mother serpent of corruption. And remember that any government that rounds and powers itself on such a large family and friends government is definitely a corrupt one. There's a good reason why there's such filial relationships between them.
We're going to be having an election in 31 days. Your concerns with the work of the EC has been well documented. If you're going to win, it will be because of what the EC will do. 31 days to the election. Are you now confident that you're going to be doing a credible job?
Let me tell you one thing. The Electoral Commission is a creation of the 1992 Constitution. They are supposed to be arbiters, and they're supposed to be impartial arbiters. They're supposed to administer elections impartially and without bias. And what we have all observed is that they have struggled to rise above all the criticisms that have been leveled against them. So please help me and join all of us in the NDC to tell the Electoral Commission to do the needful. Their job is not to take sides. But of course, for the first time, the EC is filled with partisans. A few days ago, I met two of the gentlemen at the National Association of Charismatic Churches at a program. And I met Dr. Bossman and I met Dr. Bonobio. They are all very partisan individuals. And even when you speak to them, you can tell that they can't make eye contact. Let me tell you that Ghanaians are ready for change. I think the issue knows that.
Madam, one final thing, if we can discuss healthcare. Your opponents again making a lot of noise about what they have done with the Agenda 11 projects, in line with what you also did in your time in office. You share that thought?
When we spoke about the E-block and that we're going to construct 200, they told you and I that they will construct 300 blocks. Did they not? They have failed. When we started constructing the Upper West Regional Hospital, when we completed the University of Ghana Medical Center, beautifully started by late Professor John Ivan Satamil, when we decided to complete the Ridge Hospital, when we worked very hard to start the Salaga District Hospital and complete it, what did they tell us? So please, like every other government, let's give respect to the efforts that we make. And I believe that if Nana Akufo-Addo were minded, he will level enormous credit and give credit instead of calling Professor Mills and Mr. Doolittle and a poodle. How then will we describe him? John Mahama was described as incompetent by Akufo-Addo, his wife, his sisters and friends, all their minions. How will you describe the performance of Akufo-Addo and Bawa?
How would you describe it? How would you describe it? How would you describe it?
I said totally useless. The only impact is in their pockets and it's privately in the Jubilee House.
Give them a grade.
Oh, great. I won't even bother because to score them it should be an F. Bamia knows their skills. You can see it in his body language, in his voice, in his eyes. And now we've seen through the roots of all the lies. Bare-faced lies cannot win you an election.
You are not scared about the numbers of their rallies?
My brother, with the money they've stolen, they can take you and I even to their rally. And we saw it in Asin North, where they expended millions of cedis and lost woefully. And that is exactly what awaits them. We want them to spend their money because the monies are stolen from the citizens. All the sole source projects that have gone to their family and friends, let them expend the money. But don't let them use it to buy votes and stay on to continue plunging this country into darkness. We want change.
You are suggesting it is rented crowds?
Most of them are. Because they don't enjoy any support anyway. That is the truth. They know. I asked you a question. They were at Bukom. In the last few years, Baumia speaks at Bukom. Traffic lights will stand still. What happened when he spoke at Bukom? Tell me. When someone even asked him a question, what did he say? He actually had the effrontery to tell us that if they had not created 2.6 million jobs, we won't be having this conversation. It should tell you. All they do is tell you lies and lies and lies. In the Volta region, I learned a phrase, Alapa. That is who they are.
Maybe if they do everything now, they can't do everything later. So they are taking it bit by bit.
Because they know, they expect you to believe their lies because you believe their lies in 2016. When they told you they were going to protect the public purse, they were going to fight corruption. He was too old to want our money. We are sitting on money and so I come here. We are sitting even on more money today. And I have people who ask me, Auntie Joyce, so when you guys were in office, government had all this money. Where are they getting all the money from? And I told them, persons in the NDC are people who have a conscience. We are not a perfect institution or association. But I kid you not, on any day, the NDC is certainly nowhere near the NPP in terms of greed, in terms of corruption, in terms of dishonesty and stealing. And Baumia will be in, to quote Nanado's words, a poodle to the family and friends government being run by Nana Adudankwa Akufo-Addo.
Madam, you are in front of a rally of about 100,000 people. It's 30 days to the election. Pitch to Ghanaians why we should be voting for you in 1 month.
Vote for a credible leader, vote for a trustworthy leader, vote for a man who believes in Ghana, a nationalistic and patriotic individual. I have no doubt in my mind that the ticket of John Mahama and Nana Jeno is what we need at this time. Look, we need to unite this county. We need to heal our wounds. We need to recover the loot. We need to build hope back into our county so that our young people will stop jackpying. Look at the utter embarrassment of carrying young people to a tournament and they disappear because they know that Ghana presents them no return to hope. Let's build back hope. Let's build back balance. Let's build back a genuine country that our young people will be happy to live in. I have no other passport. When I even had an opportunity to do so, I refused to take it. I believe in Ghana and I want the young people to believe in Ghana. Hold out hope and know that with John Mahama, life will not be about lifestyle, reckless borrowing, private jets, a focus on family and friends. I have told Mr. Mahama myself, boss, I expect you to walk the length and breadth on Ghana as soon as you are sworn into office. Get young ambassadors to go around each constituency and start building the Ghana that all of us want together.
We wish you the very best, and we